It was late. The house was silent, or so I thought. Then, I heard it again. Voices coming from my radio, but when I turned the dial, there was nothing there, just static. "Hi, I'm here. This is my house in the countryside. Ever since I moved in, things have been a little strange, but nothing could have prepared me for this. It started like any other day. I got up, made breakfast, poured some orange juice. I run family home. They had an old shortwave radio, the kind that can pick up stations from around the world. Maybe if I tuned the radio to the right frequency, I would hear what was going on. I searched through the channels, hoping to find something, anything that could explain what was happening to me. And then I did. It was faint, barely audible, but there was a voice coming through. At first it was distorted, indecipherable. I hadn't brought it with me, but somehow it had appeared. I turned it on, hoping to hear something, anything that could explain what was happening to me. But the only sound that greeted me was static. I threw myself onto the bed, burying my face in a pillow. I needed answers. I needed help. But where could I find it? Then slowly it began to form words. I strained to listen. The voice was raspy, tired, desperate. It was growing larger, brighter, consuming everything in its path. I knew I had to get away, but my legs felt like lead. Panic surged through me. I turned and ran, stumbling over roots and rocks, desperate to escape the light's deadly embrace. But it was too late. The light enveloped me, pulling me toward it with an irresistible force. As I reached out, grasping at the darkness, I could hear the voice on the radio getting closer. "Run, Eli, run!" But there was no escape. The light had me now, and as it enveloped me completely, I knew I wouldn't be running for much longer. Before moving in, I'd noticed a strange structure buried in the side of a hill in the distance. The climb was steep and exhausting, but the view from the top was worth it. I saw everything. It looked like a radio tower, but why would someone build one in the middle of nowhere? I grabbed my jacket and headed out. Hidden deep in the woods was a radio tower, tall and imposing, like a giant finger pointing to the sky. Vines and weeds poked through cracks in the concrete. Nature was slowly reclaiming what was once man's. But why? Why had the previous owner built this tower? And why did the voice on the radio keep calling me? "Help me. Can you hear me? Please. I need your help." Then in a small shack nearby, I found an old logbook. It was my own voice trapped in a loop from the future, desperately trying to warn me about something. But what? As if to answer my question, the logbook flipped open to a page with a single sentence written in shaky handwriting. "When the radio speaks my name, it's time to go." But go where? And why? Oh God. It contained cryptic entries and strange symbols. I pored over the pages, searching for a clue, something that could shed light on this mystery. And then I saw it. A name scrawled in faded ink. It was the same name. The voice on the radio had been calling out. The voice on the radio hadn't been calling me to help him. It had been him. But who was he? I'm being watched. I'm being followed. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. They're here. Please. Please help me, Eli. Then it hit me. He'd been calling me to warn me to run. I turned and fled, racing away from the tower and back towards the cabin. As I stumbled through the undergrowth, I could feel the ground shake beneath me. Whatever was coming, it was powerful, relentless, and whatever it was drawn to me. That's when I saw the radio. It looked old. There was no power cord. "They're here." I knew that voice. It was familiar, but I couldn't place it. I went about my business until nighttime. I was in my room trying to sleep when I heard voices coming from downstairs. It was like the tip of my tongue, so close, yet out of reach. I racked my brain, trying to remember, but it was no use. Whoever was on the other end of that radio was gone. By the time the sun rose, the voice had vanished, and so had the daytime. The radio was quiet. I was alone, or so I thought, so I figured it must be for decoration. But it wasn't to be. For weeks, the radio remained silent, mocking me with its empty static. I packed a bag and ran into the night. I needed answers, and I needed them fast. The radio, as the full moon hung heavy in the sky, I raced through the dark, twisting roads leading away from the house. Fear propelled me forward. Behind me, the whispers grew fainter, until they were nothing but a distant echo. "Let me out." I didn't stop running until I reached the abandoned cabin deep in the woods. Maybe if I could get some sleep, I could figure out what to do next. They sounded like whispers. Then I heard my name. Someone was calling out to me. Then one night it happened again. I was in my room when I heard voices coming from downstairs. I grabbed my flashlight and crept down the stairs, heart pounding in my chest. I scanned the room, but everything was normal. Then I saw it. Its green light was on. I rushed over and turned the dial. Nothing but static. I grabbed a flashlight and quietly crept down the stairs. But this time it was different. It crackled with energy, vibrating in the air around it. Then the whispers began. "Eli, Eli," they hissed. I could feel their icy breath on my neck. "Let me out." At first they were muffled, then they seemed to get louder. I listened intently. I'm 17 years old and I don't live in the countryside. I moved here from the city about 2 months ago. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to escape the noise and drama of my old school, but I don't think whoever lived here before left for peace and quiet. It turns out this place has its own demons. As much as I tried to convince myself it was just the wind, I couldn't help but feel like something was watching me. I had no choice but to investigate. As I reached the bottom, I saw the radio turn on all by itself. Its green light illuminated the wall behind it. I walked over and stared at it in disbelief. It was broadcasting nothing but static, and that's when I heard it again. Whispers echoing throughout the room. Only now, they were clear, crisp, and right in my ear. "Eli," was it saying my name? I wanted to call out, but I couldn't make a sound. The voice repeated my name over and over, but it wasn't coming from anywhere. I checked behind the radio, underneath it, even inside it, but there was nothing there. It didn't stop. It kept whispering my name all night. I ended up spending most of it huddled in a corner, too scared to move. Finally, the sun came up, and the whispers stopped. Relief washed over me, but it didn't last long. It happened again that night, and every night after that. The voice on the radio belonged to me. I wasn't going crazy. Each time the same thing. The radio turning on at exactly 2:17 a.m., broadcasting nothing but static until 2:32 a.m. when the whispers began. "Eli! Eli!" I felt like I was going insane. Sleep became impossible. My eyes were constantly filled with fear. I needed answers, but where could I find them? Then one night, as the whispers echoed around me, an idea struck. I stared at the radio in shock. Who was this person? Why were they talking about me? What did they mean? Each night I listened, hoping to catch another transmission, praying for an answer. Desperation clawed at me. I knew I couldn't stay in that house. In the morning, I discovered the radio in my backpack. Suddenly, a memory flashed. I explored the tower, finding nothing but rust and decay. One felt a sudden chill. It was then I realized. The ground beneath my feet rumbled, and the trees swayed, as if in response to a disturbance far off in the distance. Then, I saw it in the distance. A bright green light pierced the darkness.